Introducing the African Diaspora News Channel app, your gateway to stories that's overlooked by the corporate mainstream media.
And we serve as the voice to the Trubal Black community.
Again, we got Dr. Candace Matthews.
A lot of these documents, looking at.
We are committed to informing and educating through the power of media.
This country is supposed to be about the land of the free for all. It has not been free for Black people, and we are tired.
With our platform, we're helping to end injustice by exposing it.
Join us in standing for excellence in journalism and serving our community. Download the African Diaspora News app today.
So the Canadian military is urging permanent residents to join due to the fact that there is a decline in the amount of people that are enlisting. Take a look at what a chief and a commander of the Canadian military has to say, and then we'll hear from two veterans that are Black that experienced racism during their tenure in the military. Take a look.
I am concerned about our capacity writ large, given the significant number of demands around the world. There's just not enough Canadian forces to be able to do everything.
We're tracking that we're about 8,000 short of new members, which is about 10% of our effective strength. We're seeing also that we don't have the number of applicants showing up at our recruiting center or on forces.ca. So far this year, our target was about 5,900 new recruits, and we've only enrolled about 2,800. So 47.5% of our objective this year. So honestly, when we're looking at reconstitution, we looked at every option. And honestly, when you look at permanent residence, we keep talking about, the CAF needs to be a representation of Canadian society. We look at diversity that actually enhance our readiness and in turn our operational effectiveness. So the permanent residents are an untapped market that we had not looked into before because they bring important skills and they also bring a lot of diversity, which is what the CAF is after.
Former Canadian Forces member Wallace Fowler has been speaking out against racism in the military for more than 2 decades.
There's just been a lot of things that I've been fighting for with no justice.
He's one of the lead plaintiffs in a class action filed in 2016 against the federal government. The statement of claim describes how the lives of many have been devastated after it says the Canadian Forces has failed to protect racial minorities and Aboriginal peoples from racism within the ranks. Now there's a proposed settlement on the table of $150 million. Fowler says it's not about the money. What he wants is the kind of change he's not convinced is happening.
They get caught, and what happens is there's settlements, and these guys are still remain in position, right? That's the sad thing about it.
It just seemed that more and more people were accepting that type of behavior.
According to the lawsuit, plaintiff Jean-Pierre Robillard was called the N-word multiple times during his 17 years of service, including on deployment in the aftermath of the 2010 earthquake in Haiti. Despite that, he says he does respect the military as a whole, but individuals who committed acts of racism, he says, have never been properly held accountable.
Because on my end, it seems that the perpetrators are still in the services right now, misrepresenting Canada and their values.
This proposed settlement is all they have. It means the federal government doesn't admit liability. An approval hearing is scheduled for July.
So now we want diversity. Now we're talking about an untapped market that they never thought of before. And now we're talking about skill sets that people of the visible minority have that you didn't know about before. Let's just talk about the two veterans that share their experiences of racism during their tenure in the military, and as usual, no accountability for the perpetrators of the racism. And they continue to have their jobs, and it wasn't addressed, and nothing has really changed if you think about it. Back in the days of the No. 2 Construction Battalion, the only difference between then and now, and for those who don't know about the No. 2 Construction Battalion, they were a group of Black men who volunteered to fight in the war for Canada, and they were told by the Canadian military and the people that were of them folks that were fighting that they refused to fight alongside Black people, and they refer to it as the white man's war. And so these Black men weren't able to fight. The only difference now is they're allowed to fight, but they go through racism and discrimination on a daily basis. Why, in the name of all things good, would any Black permanent resident, because I'm only talking about the Black people, because our Black lives matter, why would they enlist knowing that there's all this racism, knowing that there's even a class action lawsuit going on, and put their lives at risk? They're not protected now. The ones that are currently in the military are not protected. So why would any other Black person enlist? And how safe would they be? Like, I wouldn't want to fight alongside any person that's one of the folks and go through racism and feel like my life is safe there. I mean, what's to say they're not going to turn around and take my life? So essentially, you're fighting with your comrades, if you will, and you're fighting other people. So you got to fight internally and externally, and your life is at stake internally and externally. So why would anybody of a permanent residency, I say, join? What are you doing to ensure their safety? So what they say is there's going to be a major cultural overhaul within the military. So now they want to do something about it. Now that there's such a decline and they need soldiers, now they finally want to look and see that there needs to be a cultural overhaul now. And Brother Fowler is saying that, it's not about the money. Yes, it is about the money. We'll take that $150 million. Yes, we will. And while we're at it, we still want a reparation check. They have reported and admitted that there is widespread racism, and they even refer to it as toxic racism within the Canadian military. And so them wanting to do this cultural overhaul is not going to fix the problem. It is not enticing. And I urge all Black men to not enlist in the military. As much as they're urging permanent residents to, all the permanent residents say no. Let them folks go and do the fight in the white man's war, and you stay out of it. You don't have a dog in that fight. Let them go figure it out themselves, just like they never bothered to figure it out when all of the brothers were suffering through racism in the military. We're not interested. Don't do it, brothers. Let me know what you all think about this. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this content. Also download the African Diaspora News app. You can grab it at the Google or Apple store, or head over to africandiasporanews.org and download it there. You'll have access to content you won't see here or anywhere else, so you want to download that app. Also subscribe to my YouTube channel, EA Public Relations. Until next time, please be safe, everyone.